Hello, I'm Jeremy Rivera, your unscripted SEO podcast host, and I'm here with the legendary Greg Digneo of it's still Content Guppy. You didn't abandon Content Guppy. It's
No, it's
still
still
the
Content Guppy, correct.
okay, because I know for a minute, and you were
For a
just
hot
posting
second, I
about
was gonna,
for a
yeah,
hot second. You're like, flip the table, forget this.
yeah. You
Um,
talked me out of it, and like literally, it took you 3 sentences to talk me out of it. That's how convicted I was about switching my name.
was it? Don't do it.
Yeah, pretty much. I forget exactly what it was, but it wasn't much more than that.
I think
Don't be
especially
dumb.
with all of the weightiness that they're having us invest in brand to be able to get signal out right now, it would
Yeah,
have been a huge step back for you, honestly.
for sure. Yeah,
For those aren't familiar with your brand, what you do, and what would you say you do here, Greg? Could you fill in the gaps a little bit?
yeah. So we do SEO for B2B and then B2B SaaS companies, and what we focus a lot of our time and attention on is increasing visibility, like increasing brand visibility, whether that's personal brand, like somebody within your company, or company brand visibility. So that's where we spend 80% of our time doing.
Does it matter? Like, you're pouring concrete walls. Like, do you have to have a brand? Is that now a marketing requirement?
Yes, unfortunately. I think that I think the days of being like like the traditional search days are kind of done. Unfortunately, like we all made a really good living, and probably a lot of us made a lot of money doing like the traditional search of like keyword research and uh writing content, and then the 10x content stuff, and then building some links that we were just buying anyway, but nobody really talks about that. But that's kind of all what we were doing, and I think that is gone. And I think, yes, you need, whether you call it brand or you call it visibility, we typically call it visibility, but yes, you need that. I think visibility is the new SEO.
Is it visibility or is it audience? Because I know we talked about it a couple times about there's there's channels that marketers aren't tapping, like driving a newsletter, gathering emails, and actually following through and nurturing beyond the fishing expedition
Correct.
layer, which I think is a mentality that a lot of SEOs need to grow out of. We always were optimizing. I know I can go back to 2011 and look at one of my decks, and I think it specifically says, I don't care about your branded queries in Google Search Console. I only care about your non-branded queries.
I think caring about your branded queries is kind of I don't want to say the only thing you should care about, but that's like where we put a huge part of our emphasis, for sure. Like we want to rank, and we want to have like brand, like we want to have like appear in LLMs, and we want to rank for other things that are not branded. But branded queries, I think, are the key indicator that says the other stuff is working. The other stuff is sort of like penetrating, and you're increasing whatever share of voice metric that you want to look at. But I think that's sort of like the key indicator, for sure.
Are there secondary metrics that align with that? Like I know, certainly Google Search Console filtering down to branded queries. It hasn't has at- Google keeps saying that there is some AI type of thing where I can query it or there's a toggle or filter. Um A, is that any good?
I
B,
literally
is
just
there
use I just use Ahrefs because it's so much easier to do whatever Google Search Console is trying to do. And again, it's not accurate, but like it's just an indicator of like if it's going up, then I think then things are working in that regard. The other obvious indicator is what's revenue doing? Is revenue going up, or is revenue going down? If revenue is going down, then none of the other stuff matters. Then like, hey, increase branding queries, like who cares? Like revenue is going down. So yeah, it all just ties back to revenue. So revenue is the indicator, and revenue is like kind of the big thing, and then the key indicator is branded queries and things like that.
What if your client isn't giving you revenue information? What if their Google Analytics is busted, isn't, following through, maybe it's stuck at the lead layer. Is it our responsibility as, coming in from this side to try to push more and say, hey, I need to be connected in deeper. I need to see
Yes.
more metrics. I need to get into your CRM. I need to understand your conversion funnel fully. Who's talking to these people? For how long? And how are you,
They'll
how are you
they'll
tracking
tell
success?
you, like, if you're not increasing revenue, they're gonna complain to you. Like,
That is
so,
true,
so
but I can't tell you that I haven't run into 4 different projects in the past 6 months where I've asked, "Hey, how's analytics?" And they're like, "It's not installed." So, uh,
not run
like,
into that problem. They all have analytics installed. The companies that we typically work with, and like they're very on top of things like churn. They're very on top of things like uh conversions and stuff like that. So I have not run into like, oh, we don't have analytics installed. Like, yeah,
maybe it's just the red tape level. Like the higher that you rise to the level of your incompetence, and the larger the brand that you're working with, the less there's aspects of it where you're less likely to have correct setups for these things. Because I can tell you, it's like a national, like, top,
yeah.
company that.
I think like maybe then the prerequisite to working with them is like, hey, we have to install analytics.
Yeah, yeah. I guess it's like, check your fundamentals, come
Yeah,
back, and
exactly.
let's
Like
see what we can.
or just get paid to do the fundamentals for them,
Yeah,
right? Spend
yeah. I
two
mean,
weeks.
that's
Hey,
really
this
the work.
it's going to cost you, I don't know, $3,000 for us to install do the fundamentals of like what's your analytics. Let's do is your site maps installed, blah blah blah, like all that like little stuff that has to get done. Um, are you
So
connected to
so
Google
we're
Search Console, things like that.
it it's funny because it's like, oh, I can just talk to Claude and have my SEO execute. I'm like, okay, well, someone asked me, what is it that AI can't do in SEO? I'm like, you have tons of different data pools, in isolated pockets, with its own individual flaws. If you go into Google Search Console data and think that the tabular query data actually matches the click data, then you're screwed. Because Google's only going to surface. I have
Hmm.
literally an article, ironically, about how much Google Search Console data sucks, that
Hmm.
is literally giving me less than 5% of query detail. There's over 100 clicks per month to it, and it shows me like 3 named queries.
Yeah,
That's less work than putting up a finger and guessing a direction for the wind.
yeah. It's not something like I honestly kind of use Google Search Console for like real time rankings. And that's the thing that I use. Like, so I'll go to like the 24-hour thing. Like, I'm not really big into looking at, like, I'll get some like indicator of like, okay, impressions are up and maybe clicks are up. Like, but like you said, it's so bad at telling me that. So like, I kind of just like, all right, where are we, where are rankings this week? Like that kind of thing. But I guess to answer your initial question with Claude, like, why can't Claude do my SEO? And like, again, the biggest thing uh, for your SEO right now is your visibility. So like, how could Claude get you more visibility? It's got to be like the outreach and the work that you do to build the relationships with getting on podcasts. It's got to be the outreach and stuff that like, hey, we're going to go sponsor these newsletters or whatever, or we're going to go and we're going to create we're going to go and partner up with these people and things like that. So like all those things that I'm not sure, like Claude helps for sure. Like
Mhm.
Claude helps me like get my clients on podcasts. Claude helps me get on podcasts. Claude helps me with like, hey, I need LinkedIn posts for this week. Like, so Claude will help me do that. But like the actual like writing and the actual like visibility aspect of it, Claude doesn't really, there's a hole there. The AI doesn't really do that for me. Like it can, but it's shitty. And it's like, is that really what you want to represent your brand? Like this mass spam outreach kind of thing?
I think it's like all of these spammers. I'm just going to call them straight up spammers on LinkedIn,
Hmm.
promoting, absolute geo 100% raw, drop your SEO program and just use Claude. It's like,
Yeah, it's
it,
stupid.
it, it's stupid because we're not, while, I did a good interview with Mason McCumber who does automation stuff, but even after, a hands-on one-on-one consultation, I'm further along in using Claude and AI than I ever have been before, but I'm still not fully leveraging the agentic layer of like, oh, hey, I'm going to make an agent to do X and Y and Z. And there's a part of me that's like, there has to be like that human interaction. I was talking on LinkedIn to someone who just added me. I don't know, let me click and see even what her name is, just senior SEO. And, Sarah Fitzpatrick. So shout out Sarah. Hey.
Hey,
So
Sarah.
she asked what's new with me and this year, and like it's human interaction. And so, obviously it's self-serving because I've got a freaking podcast, but that's kind of my whole bag is these are I haven't done keyword research that didn't start with a conversation in the past 6 months. Like I haven't
Yeah,
gone
me
and
either.
started a keyword research process for a new page, new section without referencing either one of my recorded podcasts or recording an interview, interview with Pure Air, their oxygen monitoring. I want to interview them to understand, regulation, like, because that's something that Claude isn't going to have in its base training layer. It might have some rough information, but it's not going to know the nitty gritty detail of like these deep niche industries.
So what we do, the first thing we do when we sign up a new client is we interview the subject matter expert. We interview, that's an hour. We interview, the sales team if they have one. And then however many customers they allow us to talk to, we'll interview. So sometimes it's like 3 or 4 customers. So and then what we do is we take all of that data and all those interviews. Then we find out where the subject matter experts, what podcasts, YouTube channels, blog posts, the subject matter experts written, things like that. And we compile that all into a library that we just build in Claude. Right. And then we don't start an article without saying, what do these what do these folks think of this subject, right? Then it's like, hey, give me the stories that were told in that they've already told us. What do the clients think or the customers think about this? You know what I mean? Like, so then it's like, okay, we have all this data now and we can compile then we build the article and write the article around that stuff. So yeah, so like most of we spend hours interviewing people before we even, as part of our onboarding process, before we even get started writing content. Because like you said, like if I could just be like, find a keyword research, hey, Claude, write me 1,500 words. Like that's just nonsense. Like that's not serving anybody any good. But like, hey, now we have your point of view, we have what your customer's point of view, we have your customer success stories around this keyword, we have what your sales team's objections are and things like that. And now we could write the article, we could write the comparison page, we could build the service page, whatever it is, the FAQs, all those things around that. Yeah. So
What
if like
about
the sales team is like, hey, when the sales team is like, why are you using our new tool? And it's like, well, we need these 5 integrations. Well, all of a sudden we could be like, cool, FAQ section. Do you integrate with these 5 tools or whatever it is? You know what I mean? That's a little oversimplified, but that's kind of how we discuss it. And that's how we approach our content there.
what do you think about the proof of the expertise, the authority, the trust of any content is actually working in genuine anecdotes that are relevant? Do you think
Yes.
that Google is smart enough now, is processing enough now to understand, the stories that we tell around topics that are relevant to get the point across in a human way?
This story. Yeah, I think so. I it doesn't even matter what Google thinks. It's like does does like the person who you're trying to get the article to does the person who you're trying to get to read the article think that it's good? And anecdotes and stories make it good. That's just kind of the way it is. I'd much rather read like let's just for an SEO article because we're both in the SEO space, but like I would much rather instead of like some generic like 7 ways to increase your to repair your site's technical content or whatever technical whatever SEO. I'd much rather you be like, hey, this site, Jeremy, this site came to me as a complete mess. Here's how we fixed it. And then step by step by step. Like, that's a cool story. That's what I want to read, not some generic seven steps to it. Like, I just want to see like the screenshots that you did, your thought process, the stories that you had. Here's where it failed. Here's where it succeeded, blah, blah, blah. And that's really cool. So yes, I think that's more interesting. And I think Google picks up on that for sure.
What do you think of the bot sandwich that's happening with marketers? We talk to Claude, we talk to GPT. We have the end human customer, and they're talking to Claude, they're talking to GPT. They're both talking to Google, and then they're coming back, and you're playing this game of wibbly wobbly telephone.
I think it's just the reality of what's happening. Like, I don't have any real, like, it's neither good nor bad to me. Like, it's just like, that's what's happening. So now it's like, I just have to adapt to that. That's all. There's nothing to, like, this is a terrible answer. So I apologize to everybody listening, but like, that's just what it is. So like, you just have to adapt. Like, there's nothing to think about. Who cares? Like, that's not something that I can control. So whatever. Like, cool. Let's just fix it. Let's just work around it or work with it.
What's the most? Oh, I think that
Sorry.
dovetails. No, it's perfect because it's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Now let's that's reality. Let's
that's
just
the
say it.
reality.
Like
Correct.
it's a human bot sandwich. Let's go
Yep.
there. And I mean, I guess it has implications for uh I don't know. Does it have implications for like writing style or, like write for people, not for bots, but you're writing for bots you're writing for humans on the other side of two bots, at least at a minimum. But those
Like,
bots are also like, hey, I care about what the humans want. So maybe it's always been both.
I don't, I've never really like written for, I've never specifically or intentionally written for a bot ever. I don't
You've
know if
never
I know.
added an H2,
Yeah, but I feel like that's for a human, like that, like as a
but
human
you could
being,
add an H2 and it not be code, yeah? Like you could have a header
I
and it's not
technically
wrapped in
could,
an
but like all I
H2.
do is like I go to like my like I click so I write in whatever uh either whether it's Elementor or what's the other one, Thrive themes or something, and I would literally just go, I highlight it and I go H2. So it's not like I'm specifically like trying to code it. It just makes it look easier to read.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess technically I could not code the H2, sure, but I don't know.
What do you
Like
think
I don't
about
specifically say like, oh wow, we're gonna make this for a bot. Like and the other thing that I do, I know like content chunking is a big deal right now, but the other thing that I do naturally is like I am very short set and short paragraph kind of person. Like just that, like I did have to change my own style for that, like uh to be that, like that's just how I naturally write.
I
You
think
know, but
I
again,
think
that's just
from
easier for me. Like I'm a 43-year-old man. Like that's just easier for my eyes.
I think about Bill Slawski. I think about a conversation I had with Victor Pan when featured snippets first came out from HubSpot, and we talked it through that to target, featured snippets. Look at the structure of what the patents behind it want, which is multiple very different types of answers answering the same question. And you could see that reflected of, tabular data, an image with anchored with proper image name alt text that aligns with the image, that then has a 50 to 120 word answer that directly answers the question posed by the H2. And then the rest of that block is really just like a supporting argument for it. So it's like, if you look at the patents of what they wanted for featured snippets, it's really an argument for creating passage rank, like a passage rank focused element. Because we used to have,
Yeah.
first it was things, then things, not strings, or strings, not things. And now we're getting deeper and more granular as it goes, but I just have ended up adopting that kind of thoroughness mentality of like, hey, if this was pulled out of context, would it be useful?
I mean, I kind of do that, but I don't think about it nearly as deep as you just explained it at all. And here's why. Let's say you have a new SaaS, you have a SaaS, and you're selling SEO software. We're both in the SEO space. We're selling SEO software. You're selling SEO software. You have a you have a $60,000 marketing budget. Or let's say, would you rather hire an SEO who's going to do all that, and they're going to spend $60,000, and they're going to worry about, whether the H2 is 120 characters and the text is this and all that stuff? Or would you rather be like, hey, listen, we could partner up with Rand Fishkin, Lily Ray, Mike King, and we could get on these 10 podcasts and things like that, and that's going to cost you about $60,000. Listen, you can't buy those people, I understand. But hypothetically, let's say that there's some
Right.
way to buy the influence of these people, because in some industries, there are ways to buy those influencers. Which would you rather do?
Well, now in the golden age of SEO, 2010 to 2020, it was a no-brainer to hire the SEO. But now, uh,
I would argue that even in the golden age of SEO, I'd still rather do that.
uh, I think it wasn't as well understood.
Correct. It wasn't as well understood, but looking back, like,
Yeah, looking back, it probably would have been better, but because you probably, having those conversations with a Rand Fishkin would have forced you to invest in the quality of, turn his gold quotes into golder quotes in structure. I just mean, that's it. What I laid out is something you can structure into your freaking prompt and forget about it. Like, I'm sorry, I
yeah,
don't have
but
to hire myself but I can get the influencer now to have that subject matter expert conversations, then leverage AI with SEO prompting to extract the value and help build the stuff much faster than I could before, right?
for sure, yeah, 100%. Like, we build content way faster right now, for sure. But I think like you're missing but I don't think like, but my point is that the stuff that like the technical stuff, whether it's like, whether the H2, like you were just saying, I'm sorry, I'm nitpicking this one little thing, but whether the H2 tag is 120 characters, like, I don't
No, that
care.
is the sentence after the
Oh,
H2, because
sorry. Yeah,
it's the
it's after the
it's
H.
this. It's sorry. It's a little bit different
It
here,
is different.
Greg.
Yeah, you're
It's
right.
it's
But
the
whether the
sentence
sentence,
after. Well, because that's the one that after the
sure.
header, that's the one that
And
fuels a
and
featured
I
snippet,
just
and that's
and I never
that.
once
But
counted,
just
nor do I.
targeting featured snippets is not a strategy we can do anymore.
Correct. But even if it was, I don't care, and I would much rather spend my time building the relationships with the influencers to get who are going to mention my tool or get me on their podcast. This
I would
podcast, me
agree.
going on
Well,
your
yeah.
podcast right now, is way more valuable to me as a SEO agency than going through my content and being like, all right, is this content too long, or is this content chunked? Is this like,
Yeah.
that's way more valuable. So
Uh, yes, and I saw Rand Fishkin's post, was it 2 days ago, of it's flipped. We need to be playing. We need a goalie, 100%. Your website is the goalie, or
yes,
however the mouth at the end of your kraken. Let's use the kraken metaphor. You
yep,
need a beak to crack the morsels that your tentacles bring in, but you need
yes,
more tentacles than ever, and
sure.
you need to be reaching out and pulling things back consistently And if you can
Mm-hmm.
figure out how to convert on those platforms along the way, that's even better. But,
Mm-hmm.
like, that's my mentality is like, reach out more tentacles, bring it back
100%.
in, leverage different channels, collaborate, and in-house SEOs, your job more than ever is to play outside of SEO. You need this
Yeah, man.
collaboration. It's
Like,
bringing home that last layer of value between teams.
if you're an SEO now, and again, like, I think at one point in time, like, it's things that I call myself an SEO agency because, like, I don't think of that anymore, of myself that right now. But, like, if you're an SEO, like, your job was never ranking, your job was never content, your job was never links, your job was increase revenue. That was your job.
Yeah,
It just so happened that the way to do that was to write content and build links. Now, I think, like, the job is, yes, you have to write content and build links. Um, but you also need to be getting your CMO on podcasts. You need to be building a YouTube presence. You need to be creating thought leadership on LinkedIn. You need to be, like, I'm talking very specifically B2B, like B2B doesn't
sure.
do TikTok or whatever as much, but like, you need to be building your email newsletter. I just saw a study, and again, this is an N=1 study, but it's something that I've been thinking about, like companies Garrett Sussman just wrote this study, or created this study over at it's on ipullrank.com, so in case your listeners want to check it out. Again, it's an N=1, but it makes sense that Gmail is pulling data from the email to personalize AI, to, to AI presence, right? So if you're a small email marketer or email marketing company, and you're in 10,000 Gmail inboxes or whatever, like, well, that increases your search presence. But somebody's like, hey, what's the best email marketing company? And I think it was like, there's like a 40% chance, 40% increased chance, I believe it was, that your brand will be cited or
Yeah,
recommended because you're to that personalized content, to that personalized search. So, like, you have to be doing these things. You can't just be like, oh, you paid me for 4 blog posts a month and 8 links. Like,
yeah.
that's not the thing anymore. That's just not going to get it done.
No, I definitely agree. Um, what do you think is going to happen in the next year? We've seen an incredible change of pace, and tone. Any do you dare stare into the crystal ball and give us the future?
I'm very bullish that I'm very just bullish on visibility and brand building, as in terms of, like, in terms of, like, the thing that's going to be working best. However you want to do that, whether you want to, like, I like getting in front of other people's audiences, going on podcasts, YouTube channels, whether you want to build your own YouTube channel, like, whether you want to go build your own podcast, um, LinkedIn, like, again, B2B is LinkedIn for me, versus other channels. But, like, yeah, very bullish on building your visibility and your brand.
I,
I don't
I
have any
agree.
other predictions other than that. Like, I don't know what Google's going to do in terms of, like, the 10 blue links or whatever. But
Do you
let me ask you a
think?
question. Let me
Yeah,
ask you one question. Do you still use the 10 blue links in Google when you do a search? Or do you look at the AI overview and just be like, okay, this is good enough, and then, like, you go research from there?
I've never consumed any of the content from an AI overview.
Okay.
I either use Claude or I
Okay.
skip or I auto scroll past it.
Okay.
When I do actually Google. I'm trying to think. I mean,
See, I
um,
mean, that's kind of like a big deal, though, right? Like, when I do actually Google, so I do still use Google as my primary search over, like, Claude or ChatGPT. But, like, I start out at the like, if I don't get an overview, I'm kind of upset that my query didn't review an overview. Not that I think it's perfectly right, and not that I think it's correct, but at least it gives me, like, a starting point that,
hmm.
like, I don't have to go and, like, do my own research for. Like, so, like, yeah, but, like, you do the same thing though. You just do it in Claude.
Kind of. I think this is embarrassing to admit, but I cannot change my default search engine away from Yahoo. I I've tried like following tutorials, changed it, reset. I can't go too far because I my Chrome is way too set. I have like 34 different Chrome profiles all logged into different client stuff from all of the years, and I'm terrified to try to like really do
That's
something
hilarious.
desperate. So it's like every time I type into the bar a search because Yahoo. So like now since I'm like sitting half of the day on Claude waiting for it to give me tokens so I can do stuff.
That's that's hilarious.
And then if I'm like, oh no, I actually need to see Google, then I have to type in Google and then re-input the
Yeah,
query.
okay.
So it's like,
That's funny. But no, I
as
like
an SEO, I'm like, my default engine is Yahoo.
Jeremy, one of the best technical SEOs in the world, can't change his
Yeah,
internet browser.
the shame, as my daughter says, like the shame.
That's great.
Oh boy. Um, let's talk about links.
Yeah.
So you touched on it earlier that there's always been this, and it goes, what is old is new.
Mhm.
Year 2000, 1995 even, like there's link building. And half of that link building really is paid money behind the scenes. And then we have all of these battles going forward. Penguin, there's always this black hat pressure of figuring
Mhm.
out what the next way to exploit links is. And I think we got infected as SEOs of like, um, when we do outreach, it's not worth anything unless it's getting me DR50s. It's not worth anything unless I get a blue clickable link back to my site because we invested so much in explaining this algorithm process to the CEO, CFO, CMO, marketing manager of like, hey, I need this budget to go build links, and here's why, and it's going to move the needle, and I promise, and it'll take forever, and it's painful, and it's half of your budget, but I swear that it works. And that swearing that it works led us to, like when Rand Fishkin came along in 2012, he's like, yeah, mentions matter, unlinked mentions matter, and like, that's nice, Rand. Like, I can't get budget to just get
Yeah.
somebody to mention my site online. But now with LLM based processing, mentions I mentions matter as much as links. I haven't seen studies that show any strong correlation between a link development layer and LLM rankings because they can't invest the time in it. They can't invest the signal in it. It's only from the secondary layer of what they pull back from rankings. So rankings are affected by links, and that's the way that links still matter. But in LLMs themselves, correct me if I'm wrong, but I have seen no studies or data that proves any correlation whatsoever of a blue clickable link influencing brand visibility, such as we can get in LLM-based search results, Gemini, Claude, GPT, Perplexity, etc.
Um, the blue click. So I would push back on that a little bit. When we get a brand ranked listed in a listicle that's like, so like you go to one of those trackers and LM trackers or whatever, those tools, say what you want about them. They're not accurate. Like you can't tell which prompts or whatever, but you can get some insight into where the LLM is pulling their data from. And so what I will say is like when we get companies into a, listicle, like 10, like let's say you have a CRM or whatever, 10 best CRMs for small business or whatever, that we've seen that help.
But because of
I
the
don't know if
link
that's
or the mention.
I was going to say that the only thing is like, I don't know if that's correlation versus causation. I can't tell you that. Like we just get the link and I don't know if it's because of the mention or not. It is also true that like, I mean, half the things in there are non-linkable things. Like for instance, when you look at like any like LLM recommendation engine, it's like half of them are Reddit, like not half, but like many of them are Reddit, many of them are YouTube. You're not getting links there for the most part. Um, Podcast mentions or some. LinkedIn, you're not getting links there usually, and then the listicles where you are getting links. So, I mean, I don't know how we still do link building in the sense of like we have, I don't know, 10 best MailChimp alternatives or whatever, and we'll still build links to that like very specific page or whatever. And but like link building from getting 25, 30 links for a company or a month, or 50 links for a month, like that's gone by the wayside for us anyway.
I think I'm not arguing that there isn't value in link building. It's just that I haven't yet. And I'd love the data if it was there. If anybody has a study, please DM me, please send it to me where there's been shown
For sure.
any stronger correlation to having an article that's linked versus unlinked having a bigger impact in LLMs. And that's the
I think
other
from
problem
a brand,
of having impact.
from a brand, I was going to say from a brand standpoint, I don't think so. I don't think there's any difference between having your like the unscripted podcast.com linked versus unlinked. I don't think there's any difference. However, like I think if like there's an internal page on the unscripted podcast that you want to rank or whatever for a particular off-brand keyword, I still think that there's a place for traditional link building there.
Yeah, I think link build in one way because it's behind the scenes more. I think that strategic, strong, heavily brand centric keyword, link building has its value. Because you've got the knowledge base, you've got the first query set. Like if it's not in the knowledge base, then it's going to do that query fan out. And you can only get in that query fan out by ranking. You get ranking by links. It's still 50% of the equation there. And so the fuel behind the scene, what's happening in the wrapper, still matters. So
yeah,
I think it's just easier actually to make an argument now of, hey, we need visibility and mentions, and every opportunity I get, I'm going to make it into a link.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Now we have an argument base for why just mentions can matter.
I just don't even think it's an argument worth having. Like, who cares? Just get your brand. If they give you a link, if they give you a link on a great site, great. And if they just mention like the unscripted podcast, the leading SEO podcast for blah blah blah, like that's awesome too. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Just get it. Like, don't worry about it. Like, there's no need to argue. Is what like that's what I see this on LinkedIn all the time. Like all the arguments, and I'm like, don't worry about the like, don't argue. Just this is the reality. Just do it. It's okay. We don't have to worry about it. It's not something that I can control, so I don't even worry. I don't think about it.
Fair enough.
Like if TechCrunch wanted to give you I mean, you used to run SEO Arcade, but if TechCrunch wanted to give you a mention, are you going to be like, hey, listen, guys, hold on, I need the link, But no.
We used to be. There used to be the wedge. There's a lot of
but not anymore. It's not.
Yeah,
right.
That's fair. As kind of wrap up here, remind us of your brand. Anything special coming up for you? Where can people find you, hang out, ask questions?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn mostly. I publish almost every day. And then contentguppy.com, and then Greg at contentguppy.com.
Before we started this interview and you were thinking about it, dreaming about coming on the Unscripted SEO podcast,
I've been thinking about it for a week.
Yeah.
At least
a week. What
did
did you hope that I would have asked you that I haven't yet?
I think the thing that we talked about it, we hinted at it, but I think the thing that where I see SEO going and what I see moving the needle more than any of the other stuff that we've sort of talked about is like just that visibility aspect, right? Like, like whether that's find the influencers, find the podcast, find the people with the audience that you want to serve, and just get on there And like the rest of it will take care of itself. Like publish your service pages, do some little keyword research to publish your service pages, do a little keyword research to publish your like alternative pages or your how-to pages and all that stuff. But like the rest of your time and the rest of your strategy and the rest of your mental effort and budget, like figure out where your audience is and then, or who they follow, and then go and get in front of them in that way. And I think you'll be fine.
Can recommend this SOP to sit down and create a Nexus document. And you can do it with Claude, but you're basically going to brainstorm out every non-direct competitor that wants to reach your same audience that has a marketing budget.
Yep.
And if there's any hobbyists on the side, who is speaking to your audience, brainstorm it out, because you can, in even your direct competitors, sometimes you can sneak in there with clever things like inviting them on a podcast to interview them. I did that for, the Unscripted Home Improvement podcast because they were out of my market. And so, and even a couple of, Cookville-based home improvement folk, I interviewed them and got them to mention my client, H&H Cookville. So
people will do it for sure.
Yeah, they'll definitely do it if you give them a reason. But think about all of the marketing budget you can multiply your potential by. That's how I think of it. Is like there are people with marketing budget, and if I give them a reason to promote me, I'm going to get much further now in this economy, as they say, with the benefits for me of collaborative marketing, the benefits for me of giving first and not trying to do some scammy like, oh, you have a broken link on your site, can you point it to me?
Right. Yeah.
No, but actually like have some sort of value prop, approach it as a journalist, have, 3 questions that you think this, if you're a realtor, what moves the needle on curb value?
Yep.
Dude, that question could go to home inspectors, could go to landscapers, could go to home designers, decor, individual products. There's hundreds of different opportunities if you went beyond, oh, I'm a realtor,
Yeah, for sure. And also like the other reason why somebody will promote you is you'll just pay them to. Like, and that's cool too. Don't worry about it. Like that works.
It does.
It's just, I mean, as long as you do it in your, whatever ethical way you decide is, whether you want to have it, like, say, sponsored or whatever it is, like, like do your ethical thing, like just paying people to promote you works really well. And it increases your visibility. And LLMs don't seem to care whether or not it's a sponsored post or not. Like they just don't. So
no, they haven't added that layer. And I don't really think they can. But...
I don't know even if they can, like you're still going to get a lot of customers and a lot of visibility and a lot of people talking about you. So,
well, I appreciate your time and insight. It's contentguppy.com, right?
Yes.
I'll make sure to harvest any links of stuff that we discussed. I think you mentioned Garrett Sussman's article. I'll make sure it all shows up in the show notes.
Garrett Sussman's article on iPullRank. Great article. If you're thinking, like, again, it's a small study, probably needs some more conclusions, but like if you're not doing email marketing because you're like, oh, I'm an SEO and I shouldn't be doing email marketing, like this might make you reconsider.
I think as a closing thought, it's not that SEO is dead because we've seen the zombie arise, but I think that people who exercise in the domain of search engine optimization must cross-contribute across skill pools and become a better marketer in general.
It's no longer a siloed activity. Excuse me. It's just not. It's a stuff that, like, I mean, when I was a Time Doctor, we did all this stuff, but we focused 80% of our budget on SEO, like content and links, and then 20% of stuff on like partnerships and podcasts and YouTube channels and outreach and all this other stuff. I would just flip the budget that way. I would just flip the budget. I just don't need that much content anymore. I don't need that many links anymore. And I would just flip the budget and do more of the outreach, because like when I look back at what is still working for Time Doctor all these years later, it's that brand. It's like all that brand stuff that we were building in the, 2015 to 2020.
as a kind of, um, I'm giving this opportunity to, and if you don't have one, that's fine. Do you have a question that you would want the next SEO or two that comes on the show to try to answer? What problem have you run into? What conundrum have you not yet solved? What workflow is lacking?
Yeah, so like the thing that we have, I mean, like I haven't seen Mason's interview yet, but like I think I'm really curious to see like what, like at the agentic level what people are building there. Like we're siloed and I have my own ideas, but like it's cool to see what other people are building and hear what other people are building. So like always that right now. Um Again, not because I think the bots should take over, but because like I think there's a lot more room for me, like selfishly, to execute faster.
My execution, I've been spending the like a few minutes every so often with Claude. I've had to build, connect, use Royal MCP with WordPress to launch a hub,
Mm,
categorizing my podcasts. Both were on unscripted. And so found the major themes, sorted and published and created pages and then interlinked them, then created CTAs to explore the hub both on the pages as well as on the site itself, added CTAs across all 125 different interview posts to now I'm working on a layer to create downloadables for each interview of like a PowerPoint version, a Word doc version,
right.
and put it behind an email wall to gather, email
Email
interest
addresses.
and
Yeah.
subscription. So subscribe and you get the download, and so I'm looking and using it from that perspective, and I'm moving towards that being a fully agentic flow. I've got the skills down. Now I just have to figure out how to get the program to sequentially do all of the
Sure.
individual skills that I've come up with. So yeah, watch Mason. I have
I
one
am
or
gonna
two
watch it.
other
Check it out.
agentic guys that I've interviewed,
I mean,
and I
what
have one coming up.
cool. I'm curious. I'm gonna check them out. Like, yeah, I haven't had a chance to watch Mason, like I said. But like, I was, my buddy Liam just literally said like he's been trying to find a marketer, but he can't find one. And I'm like, why can't you find one? And he's like, it's hard to find an agentic marketer that's moving at the speed I'm looking for. And I think speed is just everything right now. I had a writer one time.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I know that we're
No,
out
no,
of
keep
time,
going.
but like
No,
I
we're
had a
not out of time.
writer.
That's
I was using a writer. Love the writer, but he's like, I'll get this article back to you in a week, and I was like, a week. Like
a week.
a week. Hold on, I literally gave him all the information that he needed, like because I had all the interviews and all the podcasts and all that data library, and I gave it all to him and access and everything like that. And he's like, "What are we doing here? Like, I need like 4 of these this week, you know?" So like, it's just the speed is everything. Yeah,
I hear you. I think I have 2 or 3 agentic people actually booked in the next month,
cool.
so I'll make sure to
Looking forward
ping
to
you
hearing
on that.
them.
I'll even send you the link to
Thank
all
you.
of my agentic
I
hub
appreciate it.
of interview material. Thanks so much for coming on
Thank you.
and sharing your wisdom, sir.
I had so much fun, man. Oh, it's always a blast.
Peace out.
Take care.